Best head shavers roundup for 2026 is slightly late. Well, it's very late. We're into July of 2026 now. If you've never been to this channel before, you may not know that I do an annual roundup of the best head shavers on shavingadvisor.com plus the channel. And this is to make sure that I'm updating you guys on anything new that I've used, anything that has changed with the head shavers that I've been using, so we're well updated. And the reason I'm well behind on 2026 is because Philips brought out their lineup of head shavers, plus School Shaver brought out their X models, so I had to get through them, and that took a decent amount of time. Anyway, we're here now, and what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to cover a few of the best head shavers that I rate and that I prefer. But I'm going to be a little bit more general on the Philips side of things and the School Shaver side of things. But in this video, what I'm also going to do is cover a couple of file shavers, twin file shaver, plus a standard facial shaver. I'm also going to cover that, so I'm going to be a little bit wider on this and not so on this video and not so detailed about certain head shavers. I'm trying really to give you guys a good bit of information, something to take away to see what options are out there and what performs the best. First off, there's a couple of important factors that I'd like to share and the best to consider if you've never used an dedicated electric head shave before, so you can kind of keep expectations at the right level. And the first thing is, none of these dedicated head shavers are going to give us a manual razor type of closeness. And some guys, when they purchase these, they get disappointed. So like, oh, I've got this kind of stubble left, this sandpaper feel. And the guy in one of the comments, he explained it very well. He said he has like a kind of cat's tongue feeling left. So we're not going to get manual razor close, so keep that in mind with the dedicated head shavers. And that's why in this video I'm going to cover something about twin file shavers plus a facial shaver, a file type facial shaver. The other thing to keep in mind is that these dedicated head shavers can fault at times, and some guys, when they purchase these, they fault when they're quite new. However, the best thing I could suggest is find a company that gives a decent warranty period and plus honours that warranty period. However, there's no way to avoid it across the board with these head shavers. So basically, if you want a manual razor close shave, then don't get one of these dedicated head shavers. If you're concerned about you can't deal with an item faulting and having to return it and sort that out, then don't have one of these. The best thing is going to be to stick to your multi-blade razor or your safety razor. So in my lineup, I have the new Philips, the new School Shaver lineup, and the Remingtons. And I don't have my Remingtons with me here because I'm away from the UK at the moment. They're over in the UK. Then also, we're going to cover the Freebird FlexSeries Pro. And number 5 is going to be the Microtouch Titanium. I've kept that on my list for now because of its comfortable blaze. So that's five head shavers that we've got. And then for file shavers, we have the twin file Babyliss Pro. Then also the facial shaver that I'm going to include is going to be the Braun Series 9 Pro plus the Braun Series 9 Pro. So I'm going to include these two as well. I'm going to explain why I include these, plus the pros and cons of this type of shaver for head shaving. The most important factors that I rate is, one is comfort. So I want these blades to feel comfortable on my skin. You know, I don't want a rough shave, I want it to feel nice and comfortable. Skin contact throughout the shave, and what I mean is these blades maintaining skin contact along the scalp, around the head, throughout the whole of the shave, you know, especially around the back of the head. And of course, ergonomics, you know, is it designed, does it fit well in the palm of the hand, and is it easy to maneuver around the head? Another thing is speed of shave, you know, does it get the job done pretty quick? You know, I don't want to be, you know, taking 10 minutes just to do a quick head shave. You know, can I get a head shave done in a few minutes or so on about 2 days of growth? So I take a look at that as well. Then warranty, I've decided that's quite important, a warranty. Having a decent warranty period, as mentioned before about these being prone to faults and the possibility of them faulting. And another thing is I like to have a head shaver that is reasonably easy to clean. You know, like these Philips, we can pop the top of this off, and these blades, these cutters all are removed, and it can be cleaned up easily and thoroughly. So they're the main things that I rate and consider. Yeah, there's things like indicator lights, how it's charged, runtime, blah blah blah. They're all quite similar among all head shavers. So them factors that I mentioned, they're the main things that I consider. Some come with a bunch of accessories, but I don't really give much attention to that. or at least they're not deal breakers. And the amount of blades, as long as I've got 4 for a dedicated head shave, as long as I've got 4 or 5 of these cutters, that's plenty of enough. I've tried some that have more than that, 6 plus, and it makes no difference at all. So number 1 on my roundup is the Philips, or if you're from the US, Philips Norelco or Norelco Philips. Yeah, this is my number 1 now, and these were introduced in 2025, and they took over my school shaver. School shaver was my number 1 head shaver, and one of the reasons for that is that they offer such a good warranty period. You get up to 5 years warranty. We get 2 years standard, but once you register it in 90 days, we get 5 years warranty, and that's kind of unheard of in the industry, you know, and really useful to have. I think you would agree. I have done a video comparing the school shaver and the Philips, which I'll drop a link to in the description below that you can take a look at. With the Philips, we have the 5000 series, 7000 series and 9000 series. They all perform the same. There's just some features that are different and accessories different. So yeah, they all perform the same. It's the same shaver, so you know, I'll just cover these more in general. Now, what was surprising about the Philips is that it can be used similar to the school shaver, where the school shaver has this cupping design, or you know, going around the back of the head and the sides of the head, very useful. And the Philips can be used in this manner as well. We can cup it in between our fingers, and then we can, you know, come along the back of the head and around the sides of the head. And I really appreciate that design. It's not quite made the same as school shaver, because school shaver has a patent on this design, and I don't know if you'll be able to see with the school shaver, I've got light grooves there where our fingers can fit inside there, and it has grooves along the side here if we're using it in the standard manner. Now the Philips doesn't have that, and I'm sure they don't have that and would like to have it, but they can't because of school shaver having a patent on it. But it can be used in that style, you know, pretty comfortably. And it can be used holding it in the standard way in the palm, and that kind of fits quite well in the palm, although it's slightly more bulkier than some of the other ball type of electric head shavers. I mean, even like this FlexSeries Pro, that's a lot smaller. But I think these need to be taller and a little bit bigger because of using this cupping design. So the blade system, it has 4 cutters on there. And these all flex in together, plus each flexes independently. It's very comfortable on the skin. It maintains skin contact throughout the shave, and the top cap is easy to pop off. And inside the top cap, these 4 cutters, there's a cog inside there. We can remove that, take all the cutters out, and give it a really deep clean. Another feature with the Philips is that this head does move somewhat, whereas the school shaver doesn't have any movement in it at all. It doesn't make a large amount of difference, but you know, it does help somewhat with going along the various contours. Performance wise, yeah, as I mentioned, it's very comfortable to shave. Closeness is pretty much similar to any other dedicated head shaver. As I've mentioned, you kind of get like a slight sandpapery feel left over. It's not perfectly close. However, these are designed for convenience primarily rather than closeness. If you're budgeting somewhat, then I'd recommend, this is a 7000 series, I'd recommend just going for the 5000 series. If you want an upgrading some features, then the 7000 series. With the 9000 you get an extra set of blades, an extra set of cutters with it. But you know, if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend too much money, then the 5000 series is fine to go with. I have put together a comparison of the 5000, 7000 and 9000 series, and I'll drop another link in the description for that video, so you can take a look at that if you're honing your focus on one of the Philips shavers. Currently these are priced between 90 and 150 US dollars, but the prices since I've purchased and reviewed these, I've fluctuated and moved around. You know, for marketing purposes, I think they changed their prices around, so you probably can get a much better deal than $80 at some point for the 5000 series, more like around about $60. So number 2, we have the school shaver, and as I said, the school shaver had some upgrades done in 2025 to X models. So the school shaver silver's got, the school shaver silver is named the school shaver Pitbull Silver, SX5, the gold GX5, the platinum PX5, so forth. It's a decent upgrade, not a major upgrade in performance, but it's a decent upgrade for it. And I guess they've had to do it for kind of marketing stuff as well. It's kind of standard amongst the their companies to do their marketing campaigns, isn't it? But a really good upgrade on that was that this one here, let me see, yeah, this is the Palm. You take a look at that there. This is the Palm. Now the Palm used to be it used to have 3 rotary cutters. Now it's got 4. So this makes it just as good as the Silver, the Skull Shaver Pitbull got, a Pitbull Silver model, but it's somewhat cheaper. Now the thing I've come to appreciate about the Skull Shaver, slightly better than the Philips in this way as well, is this cupping design. I mean, I didn't take to it too much at first, but now, you know, it's kind of standard for me to enjoy using that way. You know, before it used to be for the back of the head. Now I can more or less do a whole head shave with that cupping design. Like the Philips, it has 4 cutters there, and the cutters all flex in and out, but each individual cutter as well also flexes. So this is also really good for maintaining skin contact, and it's very good for manoeuvrability because of that design getting around the head. Closeness, pretty much the same as the Philips and other dedicated head shavers. For cleaning, pretty much like the Philips again, this top cap comes off and we get some cutters inside there. However, Skull Shaver has changed this cog. There's a cog in the centre there, and we can't remove that no more, so we can't take each individual cutter out. I did contact Skull Shaver about that, and they said they had so many people having problems and returns because of having an issue with that for now they decided to remove that. That's unfortunate because I really like being able to take that off and give these cutters a thorough clean. If you want to choose one of these, then pretty much similar to the Philips really, is that the performance amongst them is more or less the same. It does upgrade somewhat, but it's more or less the same. What changes more so is like the features of it, and also, you know, features plus also runtime, that kind of thing. But the main shaver remains the same. The warranty is not as generous as what we get with the Philips. In the US, you get a year warranty for all the models bar the Platinum. The Platinum upgrades to a 2-year warranty. Over outside of the USA, you get 2 years. I don't know why that is. You only get 2 years. So it's not bad. It's better than some other companies, but it's just not the same as Philips. But Philips is kind of the industry leader in that. So which one do I recommend choosing? If you're just starting out and you want to save your money a bit, then you know, just go with the Skull Shaver Palm MX5. It's just as good in many ways. It's just minus some features and minus some accessories, plus not in the US, not quite as a lengthy warranty period. I mean, what I do like about the Skull Shaver Gold though. Where's the gold? Yeah, the gold and the platinum, it has a percentage indicator. Now I kind of appreciate having that. You know, it's not a deal breaker for most people, but I really like having it. You know, with the palm and the silver, you just get these 3 dots, which is still sufficient. But, you know, spending a little bit of money for myself and having the percentage charge, but plus what other accessories and features, you know, I'm happy to pay the extra. But for some of you guys are saving your money, just go with the Palm. Especially now they've got these 4 cutters on there. Price wise, the MX5 is around about $55 US, which is, to me, it's pretty much a bargain. Now the prices go up to for the Platinum PX5 up to around about $220 US, so it does get quite pricey. But you know, you can get a decent deal with the MX5 and the silver. Even the gold's not too expensive. It just starts to get a little bit pricey then. Number 3 next up is the FlexSeries Pro. This is another shaver that I like because of the comfortable blades. The blades are very comfortable. Now the Pro is an upgrade from the FlexSeries Standard one. The FlexSeries Standard was a very different shaver design. It was kind of like a ball. It kind of had like a ball shape, but it fit in the palm of the hand very well. And some guys commented on my YouTube channel where I did a versus of the FlexSeries Pro and the standard FlexSeries, and some of them preferred, or quite a few preferred, the older style, and I can understand because the blade system, it was kind of very tight and it would fit on the scalp very well, but there was other factors where it just failed with me. It just wasn't a comfortable shave. But this FlexSeries Pro is a very comfortable shave. Unlike the Skull Shaver and the Philips, it's a lot shorter. Here's the Philips as well. You can see it's a lot shorter because we don't use that cupping design of it. It fits in the palm of the hand pretty well. I mean, it's a bit weird at first because it's kind of block shaped. I don't know why they did that. It's like a rectangle shape, but it still fits in the palm pretty well, and it's comfortable with some grip on the sides there. This also has 4 blades, 4 cutters, and the head pops off easily enough and has this chamber inside like the other 2 head shavers, the Philips and the Skull Shaver. this cog in between comes off, twists off, and we can remove all these cutters so it's easy to clean. Now performance wise, it doesn't manoeuvre around the back of the head quite as easy as a skull shaver and that, but it's easy enough to use. And the cutters are pretty comfortable on the skin. It maintains skin contact throughout the shave. So yeah, it's a decent option for me. In the USA, it costs around 60, 70 US dollars. So 60 US dollars, that's a decent price that I don't mind paying for this. Something like with FlexSeries, they finally listen to their customers. I don't know if any of you guys know that a lot of these men's grooming sites, once you go to purchase a shaver or something else, they try to get you into a subscription plan, and that subscription plan is usually ticked and you're getting the products, the product you want to purchase at a lower price. And a lot of guys don't realise what has happened, and then next month they get charged something from their bank and get replacement cutters or some gels or creams, whatever it is, whatever product it is. However, FlexSeries had a lot of complaints. On my website, shavingadvisor.com, I've got a web page on the FlexSeries, and a lot of guys start to complain on there. However, Freebird have listened to that and they've removed that. So yeah, they're listening to their customers, which is that's a good thing. Next on my list is the Remingtons. I don't have them with me at the moment, they're back in the UK, but the Remington Boulder Pro, the Remington Boulder Boss, and the Remington Boulder Pro is known as the RX5 outside the USA, and the Boulder Boss is the RX7 outside. Now I've kept that on my best of roundup list because it's a good option for those that like the ball shaped design. And Remington are a trusted company, but they give a decent warranty. I think it's only 2 years, but you just know it's a company that's going to honour that warranty. Now, the Remingtons, unlike these head shavers, have 5 cutters on there. However, maintaining skin contact, I have found with the Remingtons, there's some slight overlap there. They don't quite hook the head so well. The Boulder Pro RX7 seems to do that slightly better. And I don't find that the cutters are quite as comfortable as the other head shavers that I've mentioned on this list. The Remingtons are quite affordable. They're around about between 45 and 60 US dollars. So that's kind of a decent price to pay for one of these dedicated head shavers from a company that, if you're going to get any issues, you're going to be able to return it and get a replacement easy enough. But that's a good option and a way for me to introduce that ball type design, which also, like I said, not the FlexSeries Pro, but the standard Freebird FlexSeries, that also has that ball design. It's worth thinking about that because not all of you guys are going to like this type of design. This, I guess, slightly bulky and doesn't fit quite in the palm as good as the ones that I've just mentioned, the FlexSeries and the Remingtons. The last of the 5 on this roundup for the dedicated head shavers is the Microtouch Titanium, and the reason I've kept that on is because it has the most comfortable cutters that I've used with any of the dedicated head shavers. Maybe similar to the skull shaver and that, but it may be even slightly more comfortable. It just hugs the scalp really well. Sorry, I don't have that one with me at the moment. That's also back over in the UK, and I've been out here in Thailand for about 18 months, so I'm not going to get them sent over or reordering again. I've been ordering a lot of the skull shaves and Phillips, and yeah, but you've got some video overlays I'm dropping on this video anyway to show you me using it in the features. My main issue with the Microtouch Titanium was having no warranty, not backed by a decent brand, and I saw quite a lot of people reporting it had faults. However, one guy said to me, have you been using it again? And I said, no, I haven't, but I'm going to. So I went back to using it again last year for around about a month to see whether it would knacker up, it would break, and it didn't. It ran really well and it was still just as comfortable. So I thought, right, I'm going to keep that in there. And the main reason I keep it in there as well is just to show another option. I mean, it's got a rounded design. And at first that seemed quite odd to me, but once I'd used it 2 or 3 times, I've become accustomed to it, and it was comfortable in the palm of my hand. It does what the other head shavers does, to maintain skin contact very well. The end result, the closeness, is similar. Still get that slight sandpapery feel. It's no closer, no less closer, and it's pretty cheap and picked up for around about 45 US dollars. So anyway, that's one that I just wanted to include as another option. But out of the 5, I'm going to go with the Phillips first, and then one of the skull shavers second. If I was saving a little bit of money, and the price of the Phillips was 80 US dollars, then I'd probably just go with the skull shaver MX5 for 55 US dollars. So as I said, I'm putting a different slant on this video, this best head shavers roundup, and I want to include some options that provide that closeness. For some guys, the missing thing, and I understand it totally, these dedicated head shavers and rotary shavers, is they want that closeness, which I said, you know, beginning of the video, we don't get that. However, something like this Babyliss Pro, which is a twin file shaver, and it's a barber style shaver, this will give that closeness. It's unbelievably close. However, what we lose out on is the ergonomics, that dedicated head shaver design. So, you know, it does take a while to be able to shave around the back of the head and along the bump that I have at the back of my head. It takes much longer to do that, but it gives a really close shave. And there's quite a few of them out there like this, these twin file shavers, like the Andy's lithium profile that I'd use. That's much lighter. This is quite heavyweight. That was decent, but this just seemed better and more comfortable, or slightly more comfortable. These are quite aggressive and they can be used as a facial shaver. I can't get away with it. It's just way too aggressive. Some guys can, so they can use this as a facial shaver plus a head shaver. The other option for this is do a quick head shave with a rotary style dedicated head shaver, do the main work out the way, then to finish it off, polish it off just to get that closeness, just buzz around with this after. Yeah, most guys not going to want to buy two shavers, but I know some guys do, and I've tested that out, and it's yeah, it nails all of it then, you know, the getting around and getting it all cleared up with an ergonomically friendly design shaver, and then just clearing up and getting a closer shave with one of these twin file shavers. But this is quite pricey, it's around about 150 US dollars, so it's not cheap. It looks great and it feels great. It's very solid. It's you know, it's made from metal. So that introduces you to the twin file aspects of head shaving. If you're near number one in your priorities or wishes for head shaving is closeness, then yeah, you don't get much better than these really. That reminds me as well, I need to test out the Stylecraft. Pretty pricey some of them are, but I've had them mentioned. It's on my list of twin file shavers to try out for head shaving. That will be coming in the nearest type of future. And then we have a facial shaver that can be used for head shaving. I'm going to go with the Braun 9 Series Pro Plus, but you could also go with, right, is it here? No, my Braun Series 8 is not there. There's also the Braun Series 8. The Braun Series 8 is a very good facial shaver and can be used for head shaving. And it's quite a bit cheaper than what a Braun Series 9 Pro Plus is. A Series 8 can be picked up for around about 200 US dollars, maybe a little bit less, where the Braun Series 9 Pro is 250 and above, and it could be even above 300 US dollars. So the facial shave you can see in my reviews. Take a look in the description or have a look around the channel. You'll see reviews on the Braun Series 9, Braun Series 8. You'll see that they're very good facial shavers, file facial shavers. But for head shaving, it does a great job. It's very close, you know, just as close as these twin files. But the downfall for these is the design, you know, because we've got this handle here, and so going around the back of the head is a lot more trickier. You know, I have to spend some time to keep going over, especially this, I forget what we call this bone in the back of our head, Indian or something like that. So going around the back is, you know, it can be quite tricky, but the rest of the head, you know, going around the sides and that here is very comfortable. These cutters, or files should I say, maintain skin top contact very well, comfortable enough, you know, and closer than these dedicated head shavers. The main issue is maneuverability and getting around these spots at the back of the head. But if you're a person that's looking for a very good facial shaver that will head shave as well, then the Braun Series 9 Pro, then the Braun Series 8 would be my recommendation. Now there are other very good facial shavers, you know, that give a great shave, like the Panasonic R5 and also the R6. But I found it's just not as good as the Braun Series 9. One of the factors I think that is because if you take a look at the R5, these files are a lot slimmer. Now the Braun Series 9 Pro plus the Braun Series 8, they're a lot wider. Now if you look at the Babyliss Pro, on those the files are even wider. So I think that makes a difference when shaving the head, because we've got more areas to cover, haven't we, than on the face. But that's about it. What I've done in this video is I've tried to cover some options that give you guys some idea of what is available out there. There's a bunch of head shavers available on Amazon. You know, all the ones made by Chinese and sold by Chinese. There's all sorts of copies, and I'm not going to go through and reviewing all these. I try to back up these Western brands and that if I can. But that small roundup should give you an idea of the options available and for what is most important in you choosing a head shaver and what you want from it. If you want the closeness and that, then like I said, go for these file shavers, have a go at them. If it's about convenience, speed and being and comfort, then the dedicated head shavers that I mentioned are good options. Well, if you're head shaving guys, next that'll be coming up is I've got to cover this Platinum Pro PX5. Then what's going to be interesting, it's going to be fun doing this skull shaver Pitbull Diamond Jet. Yeah, I'm not sure how that review is going to go. You know, I'm not that good at bigging things up. I'm not a what do we call it, an influencer. You know, I can't go, oh, this is the best thing since, you know. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Also for head shaving, I don't know if you guys know that I've seen a video that I did on this Leaf Original, which is, yeah, if you want a close head shave, then you're going to get it from there. But the next one kind of is a Leaf 2. This is the newer model that I brought out, so I'm going to also do a video on that. So stay tuned guys, thanks for watching, have a great day.